Whales! Now, don't say we didn't have whales. Last summer in the harbour, they were smacking their tails and jumping and slousing and chasing the bait when the ice finally went, and sure, that was some late. And sharks. I know now there wasn't some sharks in the bay. More sharks than Kellogg's got cornflakes, I'd say. And orcas and sunfish and stuff we don't see very often round here, as I'm sure you'll agree. For 5 or 6 days we had a small humpback who'd swim up the shoreline, then turn and swim right back. He was only about 20 or 30 feet out. You could see down his throat when he opened his mouth. And the capelin were rolling like we knew that they would, with codfish amongst them, getting all that they could. One youngster let out with a dirty big screech when a hungry one swam right ashore on the beach. And the cars were lined off on the road by the shore. My jumps, I suppose there was 40 or more. Whole families were standing up watching the show, the little ones squealing with parents in tow. "Well, what odds about it?" says I. "I had trash to burn, on the beach. Then tide'll wash that all away. And I know my potatoes aren't coming along. My garden needs capelin. I guess that's what's wrong. So I'll get 15 gallons from down in the bight. I always did that, and so I got the right. Then I'll jump on my Sea-Doo and go out and smack a whale, get a selfie with me on his back. Throw a lunch in a shopping bag, take that along, throw the bag in the water when my lunch is all gone. Then I'll catch all my codfish, though one time I wouldn't have bothered to try till they told me I couldn't. Then I'll throw them away, 'cause I don't like 'em much. I'd rather eat chicken and pizza and such. And all those ducks from last year in my freezer, I'll throw in the dump, 'cause I don't like them either." Now, I was painting my walls a bit later that day, flushing paint down the drain which flows out in the bay, when I came all over nappish and started to slouch, put down my tea and hove back on the couch. Not long after that I woke up with a start, rubbed the sleep from my eyes, prized my eyelids apart, and found some unusual guests had dropped in, 2 great big old whales, one humpback, one fin. Well, I offered them coffee like anyone would. The humpback spoke up and said that would be good. But did I have decaf and maybe a small bit of soy milk, 'cause he couldn't go lactose at all. The finback, who told me that her name was Penny, said she liked a beer, that's if I had any. So I got her a black horse and a nice bowl of chips. The humpback said, "Got any celery sticks?" "I'm Pat, by the way," he said. "Nice to be here." "Dave," said Penny, "you got any more beer?" "Excuse me," said Pat, from the seat where he sat, "but does all of this blubber make me look fat?" Well, I thought for a while about how to answer, and said, "No, boy, for a whale you're a fine-looking man, sir." Then a voice said, "Excuse me, we don't mean to vex, but we're here with a big persecution complex." "Well, now," says I, "it's a strange day so far. One more strange thing would only be par. 'Cause there on the daybed right down by my feet there was 3,000 capelin, sot up looking some sweet. There's one there named Caleb. He spoke for the rest. Said, you know, life as a capelin is not all the best. The codfish and whales are lying in wait when you're just trying to roll on the beach with your mate, and if by good luck you can make it that far, then some fellow is dipping you up for his garden. It's not safe in the landwash, and if I had my way, I'd move to a pothole on the Burgeo Highway." And sure enough, a great big old codfish was swimming around, on the ceiling, and good job he never looked down, or I suppose he'd have had all those capelin for lunch, but it turned out that they weren't just any old bunch. All of a sudden that codfish was covered in sharp little stars. "I know now," said Pat, "he won't have some old scars." And boys, if that's not enough to unhinge you, it turns out those capelin, they were masters of ninja. Well, the codfish just hung up there, cursing and gulping. A squid laughed and said, "Boy, you looks like a sculpin." Penny, meanwhile, was sot into my table, playing cards with some sharks, and her not real stable. One shark had the jack, and he slammed it down smacko and said, "Now, my darling, don't fool with a macko." But the whale had the 5, and sir, that's what she drove on my table. Now my table is splits for the stove. There were skates in the hallway, and a big hockey game. "Bobby scored!" someone roared, but they all looked the same. Then one skate named Pete knocked Bob off his feet, and a hake said, "For a skate, sir, that Pete is some skeet." A wolfish named Hamish said he was famish, and he felt a bit sheepish, but did I have goldfish? "Those little crackers," he said, "for my young fellow Keegan. I like the real ones, but sure, Keegan, he's vegan." So I went to the kitchen to look for some snacks, bumped into an eel who was making wisecracks. There was a big flash of light, and I was knocked out, I suppose, 'cause that eel was electric as far as I knows. When I finally woke up, it was coming on night, and all my new buddies were nowhere in sight. Says I suppose I was dreaming, and I don't suppose that any of it has any meaning. Well, now, later that day I was down on the beach, and the capelin were rolling, and the gulls were all screeching. A whale was swimming along by the shore, and he stopped about 30 feet from me, no more. And it seemed he was looking at me pretty bold. I got kind of uncomfortable, truth to be told. Then he dived, and I didn't see him after that. And I know it sounds foolish, but do you think it was Pat? And do you think that the ocean is like everyone's mother, and that we got her drove, and she mightn't recover? And I think that perhaps I won't do all that stuff to the ocean. Perhaps the ocean is saying, that's enough.